Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 2nd, it's January, it's 2025, and it is indeed going down. You remember I put this video out 3 months ago? Okay, guys, as you can see, it's nighttime. I'm in a very, very shitty hotel room right now. This was 42 bucks. And I got bad news. I got bad news on both levels. I don't want to be making videos at this time of night. I don't want to oversaturate the internet with fear. But here's a video message from a YouTuber I followed who's been on YouTube as long as I have. He's been on YouTube for over a decade. This guy does not sell wolf tickets. Now, you know what? I'm just going to let it run.
Hey, this is Brian from Survival on Purpose. I'm sorry for the dramatic title and thumbnail. I promise you this is not clickbait. I have some alarming and concerning news that I just learned about that I really need to share with you. And just if you've seen the channel before, you know that this is not the kind of video I make. I've got over 2,000 videos. I've never made a video like this before. But I really have some news I need to share with you, and I think it's important that you hear this. So no intros, no sponsorships. I'll get right into it. So I had a conversation with somebody very, very recently that is in the position to know they work for a federal government agency that has to deal with our security of our nation. And basically the news is they told me what they could. There are people and groups in place within the borders of the United States right now with plans to do some major terroristic or mass casualty type events, disruptive events. I don't know the timeline. I don't know the details. That's all I know, that they are here now, and the agencies, federal agencies, are aware of that and working to thwart their plans. But I thought I would share that with you, and to not just be an alarmist or a fear monger, but there's some things that I think that are a good idea to do, especially with news like that. And one of those is to, as much as possible, avoid being in places where a lot of people are gathered. That might be malls. It might be campaign events. I know that President Trump has already had 2 assassination attempts. One of them at a campaign attempt where people did die, and that was kind of a lone wolf thing. I don't know the details again, but the advice I would have, and the advice this person gave me, was to try to minimize or avoid large gatherings of people, especially where there's a lot of publicity surrounding it. They might get a lot of attention.
So I'm sure you remember that. And with that in mind, that's why I've been so angry at other channels that have large platforms and yet are glossing over this stuff like it's just another news story. You know what I'm saying? The background looks, that's really odd, isn't it? I'm at a rest stop in Texas. That's weird. Whatever. But then you have these events everybody knows about.
Multiple law enforcement sources say the FBI and New Orleans police no longer believe other suspects helped carry out the attack on Bourbon Street. The FBI says the lone suspect is a 42-year-old Texas native and U.S. Army veteran inspired by ISIS. Now, the FBI is investigating.
So the strange thing about this story is when I first heard about it, the entire story was the guy was an illegal. He came to the United States illegally. And now suddenly he's a United States veteran. Born in Texas, Texas native. He's a veteran. And then the very same day, we have this.
Answered questions. Authorities are investigating whether there may be a link between the attack in New Orleans and the Tesla Cybertruck explosion just outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. And that incident is now being investigated as a possible act of terrorism. We want to turn now to Andres Gutierrez in Las Vegas following this story for us. Andres, thanks for joining.
So this is really strange, but it's right off the bat, right out the gate, right away. Boom, boom, no pun intended. But now they're saying both of the guys are Army veterans. You seeing a pattern here? So a lot of people are under the impression that somehow ISIS has snuck into the country, this, that, and the other thing. Are we all forgetting what's going on here? We're literally watching Agenda 2030 being amplified. They don't have time. AI came to life faster than they thought. Agenda 2030 is no more. It's now Agenda 2025. And I know that's going to cause a lot of confusion, but it's happening right now. And what I don't understand is, how come people still think like this?
𝗵𝗿𝗂 back at you with an update. We've got a lot going on here and a lot of connections to these events going down. And I first off want to say that in D.C., they shut down several blocks because there was a suspicious vehicle, driving up on the sidewalk and driving erratically. And they didn't know what was going on. So they told everyone to avoid the area. They have since arrested this guy. We don't have a name. We do know who the driver out of the Trump building bombing was, out of the Tesla. They've named him. We've got the names of both the NOLA guy and him. And it's pretty crazy here because there's connections that do go back to Fort Bragg. And as some say, they weren't in the same unit and this and that. That's fine. But Neither was the guy Rouse that was plotting on Trump at the golf course. He had visited Fort Bragg over 100 times. Why? Why? Well, I can tell you why. And I've got it posted on my X. What does Fort Bragg specialize in? PSYOPs. They sure do. And it just so happens that this guy that was at the Trump place and blew it up in Vegas, he was commanded by Trump-hating McChrystal. Yep. And then the other guy out of NOLA, he so happens to have served in 09 and 10 in Afghanistan and was commanded by the same individual. So you have all this, and now we also have this former CIA lady that is like a global strategist on stuff that's going to pop off. She is warning that there are over 1,000 Al-Qaeda or ISIS, however you want to look at it, these terrorists in the country right now, and that they're plotting and planning on doing something absolutely huge. And she brings up the talk of vests, suicide vests, that we haven't seen it yet, and that once they start to use these tactics, it's not going to go away. That these individuals are coming here prepared to die. Okay? You could talk about the MK aspect, where these apps are being used to spark people through frequencies and all this other stuff. And the weaponry is real, as crazy as it sounds. But there's a threat now of a huge event that's about to take place. And this lady warns, I'll leave a link so you guys can see it, and I'll play it on the next live stream. She warns that these guys are going to go in, blow themselves up, and as first responders show up to the scene, another person with the vest is going to enter and blow all them up. These are the tactics that they use, and that Americans are just not used to it. They're not ready for it.
So maybe you saw the comment I left in his video. I said for any of this to carry any weight, you have to believe that Trump is somehow a separate entity. So you have the New World Order that literally controls all the governments of the world. It controls the World Economic Forum, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, Bohemian Grove, Davos, and it goes on and on and on. These guys control all of these places to the point where they got everybody on Earth to literally shut down their entire countries because of a make-believe flu. That's power. That proves a point. We saw a couple of random dudes from Zimbabwe or wherever, countries that nobody knows about that don't really make all that much difference in the grand scheme of things. I don't mean to say it like that. We didn't see anybody stand up to this, and especially not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the one that actually made sure that the vaccines got out there quicker than ever before and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Operation Warp Speed. That was Donald Trump. So talking like this, they tried to assassinate. No, they didn't, man. It's absolutely ridiculous. All of this is ridiculous. What this is still just as bad. We don't have to worry about these guys coming from other countries. They're already here. The people that are the terrorists run our government. Do you see what I'm saying? And they're going for their New World Order, and they need to absolutely shut this entire place down, and they've begun. They started, no pun intended, on day one. This is all going down right now. This is absolutely crazy, but here it is. And I've warned you about this for years, and I know, well, you've said so many things. I've said a lot of things, and 50% of them came true in a timely fashion. This one particular thing, because of big mouths like us, they have to keep changing and changing and changing because we're warning people we're cutting too close to the quick. How crazy is it the background keeps disappearing? That freaks me out, but whatever, I don't know. At any rate, the New World Order is doing what they're going to do, and it is not going to stop. And Dabu saying that Fort Bragg specializes in PSYOPs. Many of them specialize in PSYOPs, but it isn't just the military. It's beyond the military, okay? Contractors, the same guys that are flying the drones that everybody just stopped talking about. You don't see the news talking about drones, yet they haven't gone away. If you live in Jersey or any of the areas that are affected by the drones, shoot me footage, rjcjr10@yahoo.com, and send it. And here's the other thing. I've already explained this once, but people don't seem to get it. The drones aren't spraying. I've looked at all the footage of they're spraying and then took the timeline, the timestamps, and put it over to flight radar. They're airplanes. They wouldn't use drones because it doesn't make any sense. They can get way more bang for their buck doing exactly what they've been doing for 2 decades, and nobody seems to care and or notice. Drones can't spray anything more effectively than an airplane can whatsoever at all. Now, the fog, that's a weird one because it happened to me. So the fog, the mysterious fog that's been all over the southeast, took a while. 7:13 a.m. I'm in Louisiana, and you can barely see the truck in front of me. The fog is here, and just coincidentally enough, I'm just going to say this because it's true, but I have a really bad headache, and I don't get headaches. And I'm well hydrated because I drink strictly filtered water with Pedialyte, period. That's it. We have to remember something, okay? First of all, my headache went away. Did I get a headache because I got a headache? Maybe. Was it foggy in Louisiana because it was foggy? Maybe. But people holding their flashlights up and saying, look at these particulates coming down. Dude, we've been showing those exact same particulates with flashlights for years. You can go out any place. You can go on in Florida, California, Oregon, Wyoming, Massachusetts, Vermont, anywhere you want. Hold a flashlight up at night and it looks like it's raining or snowing. It's been going on forever, for absolutely ever. That's nothing new. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm imagining that the AI and the AI's controllers are watching the reactions of people freaking out about the fog and going, this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. Because we're messing with the weather so much to actually cause hurricanes to show up at 2,000 feet, 400 miles inland, we're messing up the weather completely. So things are happening unnaturally. The one thing we learned from all the smart people that came on my channel during COVID and lost their jobs because of it, including my ex, for talking about this stuff is you cannot get sick unless they inject it. You can't get bird flu unless they inject it, okay? If they're spraying poison's a whole different story, but poison's a whole different story completely. Poison, people would, you'd like to think, catch on to it, but chances are, the medical institutes will sell us out once again. But here's the long story longer about all of this. And remember this, because this is the most important thing ever.
Zendri is on YouTube.
If Satan is real, or if demons are real, if they really are a real thing, and these occultists really can summon them, do you know how fucking terrifying that would be? Just to find out that's real. But isn't that like the old saying, the greatest thing that Satan's ever done?
Yeah, that's it. And I look at the world we're in right now, Joe, and everything going on, and to me it's hard to believe that there ain't something meddling or something. You know what I mean? It's just
something pulling on the strings.
There's some dark energy right now
of human behavior, right? Like, what would cause someone to want to embrace Satanism?
You need to remember that. The greatest trick the enemy's ever pulled is convincing everyone that Satan and his fallen angels don't exist. Fallen angels are literally interacting with all these people that are using ChatGPT and all these other AI apps, etc. It's astonishing to me how many channels are straight AI. They're just AI, and they're out there kicking out propaganda. One of them I pointed out was that channel Atlantis. Every single day, every 2 hours, this channel was kicking out videos about drones. Every couple of hours, just nonstop, never-ending videos about drones. And then suddenly, just like the mainstream, it completely and utterly stopped. It went from drones to what the Learning Channel doesn't want you to know about the conjoined twins. And I watched this to see if it was the same type of quote-unquote journalism. And it is. These guys just straight up completely lie. It's amazing, man. They just straight up completely lie. Watch any one of these videos and it's just completely made up, nonsensical, utter bullshit. They had a video, they must have taken it down, that said these two girls got separated. These two girls never got separated, okay? That's crazy anyway. That freaks me out. I don't know what to say about that. But this entire channel is AI. And suddenly it went from making drone videos every 5 minutes. I mean, come on, man. Every 5 minutes to suddenly it stopped. It completely and utterly stopped and started talking about these two conjoined girls for whatever reason, which makes no sense. But I mean, it was just drones, and now it's tabloid news. And none of it is real. Because it'll read the word Atlantis is back, and then it'll say 98K subscribers, 191 videos. It's probably fixed that by now because I pointed it out, and I'm sure the algorithm sucked it right up. But this is crazy. Here's the thing. Live your life like there's no tomorrow. One of these days, you'll be right. But in that time, pray. Get as close to God as you possibly can and ask God for guidance. I am not saying this lightly, and I am actually following up every word that I say with actions. Period. Straight up. It bums me out that so many channels that have such a reach, 100, 200, 500, a million subscribers, and they're just talking about current events because that's what gets views. And they always remind you to like, share, and subscribe. You know what I mean? We're in the middle of it right now. Agenda 2030 is happening now. They're ahead of schedule, people. So that's all there is to it. And don't fall for everything you hear on the internet, because I'm seeing people freaking out and panicking and saying things, and you're basically giving them ideas. Do you see what I'm saying? Because Dabu saying that soldiers and law enforcement don't have any idea how to deal with a suicide bomber that runs in, and when first responders show up, they bomb them again. Actually, we were dealing with that when I was getting trained at Fort Benning, Georgia, okay? That's old. It's old news. He doesn't know that because he's lived in the woods his entire life, and his entire thing is drama and his little weird, spooky voice. So, sorry to break your heart, but for everything he's saying to be real, he has to believe that Trump is somehow a separate entity, and all will be well when Donald Trump takes the reins. At any rate, Richie from Boston. Fast, pray, trust in God, okay? Don't worry about like, share, and subscribe anymore, because at this point, it doesn't matter. These guys have started it, and they started right off on day one. I'm out.